Suddenly, the old man vanished without a trace, leaving the entire group of directors stunned and bewildered. Their eyes darted around in confusion, wondering where Senior Ening had disappeared to and why he'd left so abruptly. Meanwhile, Lynn stood motionless, staring intently at the rewards he'd just obtained, still lost in awe at their staggering value. As he examined each item, his gaze fixed on the beast god's blood, realizing it could only be used by physical class fighters, his thoughts grew deeper. The shard of the beast god's leg bone wasn't as legendary as the divine finger bone he'd once claimed, yet it still radiated divine power. Sadly, neither item held much use for him now. After a moment of contemplation, he made a decision. He would gift them to Senior Ening's granddaughter, Ening Yay. At first she refused fiercely, insisting she didn't need treasures. Her only wish was to stay by his side. But Lynn simply smiled, gently patting her head. "You should take them," he said softly. "I already have treasures far greater in my stash. These aren't that important anymore." Reluctantly, Ening Yay agreed, deciding to keep the items, safe for him. "If the day comes when you need them," she said softly, "I'll return them without hesitation. Until then, they're in my care." Their peaceful moment was shattered in an instant. An aged, commanding voice echoed across the hall. It was Senior Ening, back from who knows where, glaring fiercely at Lynn. "Take your hands off my granddaughter," he demanded. Ening Yay spun around in shock, eyes wide as she saw her grandfather, standing there, his expression a mix of anger and concern. But Lynn remained calm, his composure unwavering. He looked at the old man and asked in a steady voice, "What brings you here so suddenly?" Ignoring the question, the old man's gaze flicked to the treasures in Lynn's possession. His eyes widened in astonishment. "Did you really manage to get the beast god's leg bone and divine blood? Do you even understand their true worth?" Lynn knew well enough that even if he had no use for the items, they were incredibly rare. The old man then explained their significance. The divine essence within the leg bone could help a high-level powerhouse break through limits, rapidly increasing energy levels and even pushing them toward god-tier status. The beast god's blood, on the other hand, could boost a third-tier class transformation by 15%, and when refined into a divine blood elixir, it could double that success rate to 30%. Lynn immediately sensed the old man had an ulterior motive, so he asked it directly, "Are you trying to make a deal for these items?" The old man nodded, impressed by Lynn's sharpness. He elaborated, "To create the divine blood elixir, we need rare materials and a master alchemist, which I lack. Just one drop of this blood can produce 3 doses of the elixir. I propose that you give me the items, and once it's brewed, I'll give you one of the 3 vials." Lynn pondered silently. He hadn't imagined the beast god's blood to be so valuable, but given the old man's reputation as a god-tier powerhouse, he trusted him. Eventually, Lynn agreed. As the old man chuckled in satisfaction, Lynn asked one last question. "Who are you planning to use the elixir on?" The old man burst into laughter. "I only have one granddaughter. Who else would I give it to?" Lynn's eyes twinkled. He'd guessed it from the start. The divine elixir was meant for Ening Yay. Hearing her grandfather's words, she stepped forward, retrieving both the bone and the blood from her storage. She handed them over to him, saying, "They're yours now. I was just holding them for—" "Lynn?" The old man froze, stunned. He couldn't believe the treasure had been in her hands all along. He'd assumed Lynn still possessed them. Ening Yay smiled gently. "Lynn gifted them to me. But now that you've made a deal, I'm returning them to you." He was speechless, realizing the treasures weren't with Lynn, but with his granddaughter. "I was under the impression Lynn still had them," he muttered. Ening Yay reassured him softly. "I've just been holding them for him. Since it was a gift, you're not wrong." Frustrated, the old man snatched the items from her hands, grumbling. "These treasures can help reach true divinity. Even god-tier powerhouses would kill for them." Then, in a shocking turn, Senior Ening revealed his true intentions. He was willing to offer his granddaughter in exchange for the 2 divine items. The room fell silent. He declared that Ening Yay should stay with Lynn from now on. Blushing furiously, she tried to protest. "Grandpa, this isn't the time for that." But her words couldn't hide her embarrassment. Even as she tried to stop him, it was clear her grandfather's decision was a gift for Lynn. Lynn couldn't resist teasing her, joking, "So Senior Ening traded her away for a chunk of the beast god's leg bone?" Ening Yay was mortified, blushing even deeper, trying to stop him. But secretly, she'd always wished for this outcome. The scene shifted back to the director's hall, where everyone was stunned by Senior Ening's return. They immediately asked whether the treasures Lynn had defeated the beast god for were truly what they thought. With a pleased smile, the old man laid the items on the table, confirming they were indeed the beast god's leg bone and divine blood. The directors gasped. Lynn was now sitting on the rarest treasures, with the power to reach god-tier status just within reach. But the lady director looked deeper, sensing that Lynn's strength wasn't just luck. "It's not luck," she said confidently. "Lynn's strength is real. That's what earned him these rewards." Then an unexpected twist. The old man revealed that these treasures no longer belonged to Lynn. They were now in Senior Ening's possession. The lady director's eyes widened. "How did you negotiate with the divine general himself?" Caught off guard, the old man broke into a sweat. He didn't want to reveal that, as part of the deal, his beloved granddaughter was now Lynn's girlfriend. Before the discussion could go further, a serious voice interrupted. One of the directors stepped forward, asking to examine the beast, God's leg bone. Many of them were just shy of reaching god-tier strength, and this item could be the key to crossing that threshold. The old man nodded, summoning the bone to the center of the hall. The senior directors gathered around it, meditating and channeling energy to absorb its divine aura. Within moments, the director from Genesis Academy entered a profound state. Sweat poured down his face as he focused. Then suddenly, a radiant, golden aura erupted from his body. His divine pressure surged through the hall. He had crossed into the divine realm. Senior Ening watched proudly, smiling. The human race just gained a new god-tier powerhouse, all thanks to Lynn. Team, you enjoyed this? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and see you in the next one.